Good morning and welcome to Fat Cow Farm. Now, here we are this morning at the pump house. Now, this is the pump house that feeds our header tank and also our vegetable garden chicken coop. Now, I had a few things happen over the last couple of weeks which I really wasn't happy about, and I suppose I didn't actually prepare for either. Now, what's actually happened is that we've had, and you wouldn't know today, but we have had nothing but grey skies, which means I'm not getting charge into the batteries from our solar panel to work our 12 volt solar pump, our SeaFlow solar pump. So, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm going to need some sort of redundancy. And I had a quick look online and found this little guy here. Now, this is a 49cc 4-stroke motor, just running a little pump on the front, and it has its standard inlet and outlet. Now, the way that I've plumbed this in is that so that I know that our timer for inside kicks off at around about 10 o'clock, something like that. So, and that just pumps for about an hour and a half, and that's all fine. But there are those days where we have nothing, and that's what's been happening over the last couple of weeks. Now, the cows, or our cow herd, don't change their drinking habits if it's sunny or not. Obviously, if it's super hot, they're going to drink a lot more. But what I wanted to do was able to have some sort of redundancy just in case. Now, luckily enough, our header tank was full, so we didn't have an issue there. But it just puts in the back of my mind that I'm preventing a massive failure should something happen with redundancy. And so I just thought I'd pick this little pump up, and I don't know, what was it? Maybe it was less than 200 bucks. And I thought, you know, if this actually works, then I might put this redundancy into all of our other little solar huts, water solar huts around the property. And from what I've seen, and I've had it up and running, you know, the only thing really, which is the same as the SeaFlow water pump, is that you need to have a non-return valve in the water. So I've got a separate siphon or separate intake line that I've just run, because this is all inch. And so what I needed to do was just to make sure that everything was going to be working as per it's meant to be, because we're elevated here. We're probably about, I don't know, 3 or 4 meters, you know, from the surface of the water. And our header tank is close to about, or just over 20 meters. And the reason why I felt this one interesting was that the maximum lift for this unit is 22 meters. Now, I can certainly say that works, no dramas at all. We're well within those parameters. So that's our header tank further up there. So what I'm going to do is we'll turn this little guy on. I'll let you know how noisy it is, and we'll show you the flow up the end there. I actually haven't measured the flow rate, but I would be thinking it looks a little bit stronger than what the 12 volt pump is doing. So I would be expecting, if I remember correctly, I think that the SeaFlow was doing around about 8 litres a minute. This looks a lot stronger, maybe around about 12 to 15 litres a minute. But in saying that, it's a redundancy, so that when I can see that the clouds are up and everything else, I can just come out here in the morning or whatever it may be, check my gauges, make sure that we're full. If not, I can pump this for an hour, because the little tank here is pretty much, I think it's about 1 litre, maybe a fraction under. So that typically will run off my timing is around about 1 hour, something of the sort like that. So, but as a part of functionality, you know, it's basically exactly the same as our 12 volt system. All right, so let's see if we can get this ready to rock and roll. There we go. Right, so what I have noticed though is that you do make to have it on full. Right, we'll go up to the header tank and I'll show you what the flow's like. I'll see you soon. All right. Right, so here we are at the top of the header tank now. Now you'll be able to see above me at the end of that white pipe, the 90mm pipe coming out, you should see the flow. Now, if you remember when we did the setup for the header tank here, we've got our 1-inch pipe running up through the middle of that stormwater, just so that we could clip it off and keep it all nice and tidy, and the cows and everywhere aren't going to start chewing it out. But again, what we were saying before about redundancy, and I think this is where, you know, how far do we actually go? And I think having a single redundancy is pretty much the way to implement everything here. And I'm going to take that policy on with everything here at Fat Cow Farm. I don't want to get into the situation like what we've just had, where we've had 2 weeks of just cloud and no sun. I mean, again, you wouldn't know that it was happening today, but not enough charge to come through and charge up our batteries for our little SeaFlow 12-volt solar pump to engage the tank. Now, and like I said, that's where it's all sort of stemmed from, this whole redundancy sort of scenario. Now, we got down to about half, and half is really not where I want to be. I like 3/4 to full. That's sort of my preference. So now that I know that we're going to have some sort of cloudy days or whatever it may be, I can then now just flick over the petrol motor, because it won't be running all the time. The solar will be the main product here for pumping water up to this point here. But if we are going through those situations where in the middle of winter or whatever it may be, I still need to be able to get water here. You know, our stock is number one, and so that's where we're sort of coming from. So all about redundancies, looking at a little 49cc, you know, whipper-snipper motor running on a little water pump to get water up at your header tank here for your irrigation of stock troughs further down the hill, gravity fed. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.